Open look, Gomez, he hits it!
What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Kane Cunningham.
Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions!
Kind of ironic, on this Wednesday morning, I wake up, Andy and I start to talk a little bit, and I'm searching through social media as Andy and I do, and I come across a video where they are introducing, I don't know why this popped up, introducing the 1984 National League champions San Diego Padres. Please don't ask me why I stayed and watched it. The introduction of every single player, it was ridiculous. I'd much rather see the Tigers, but the Tigers were already on the chalk line because they were the visiting team.
Does it ever make sense why we watch any video for way too long in today's world?
I guess not. You know, the golf videos do. You and I watch a lot of golf videos, and then immediately I start thinking maybe that is wrong with my irons. Maybe I'm not standing close enough to the ball. Maybe I do feel like I'm bringing my arms back the wrong way. So I start to do that. But this was kind of strange. And the reason I bring it up is because little did they know, and this was the introduction before game one, little did they know that they would get blitzed by the Tigers. And it started right away. Lou Whitaker leads off. Alan Trammell hits. Kirk Gibson drives them in. Lance Parrish drives them in. Darrell Evans drives them in. Obviously, in 1984, the Tigers were the best team in the world. They won, 35 of their first 40 games. They won their first 17 road games. They won 104 regular season games. They beat the crap out of the Royals in the ALCS and did the same to the San Diego Padres. The reason I think of that is because last night, not that they're the same, okay? It had a quick flashback for me. Kevin McGonigal gets on, and Colt Keith hits a home run. And suddenly it's 2-0 Tigers, and they end up winning 6. They end up going on to win the game against the Athletics 6-2. Neither team had a lot of hits. I mean, I think there were 8-7. Detroit had more hits, but they scored 6 runs on 8 hits. They set the stage. And the more you watch McGonigal, the more you recognize just what a patient and sharp hitting eye he truly has. He was on base multiple times again last night. He went 2 for 4, but was on base 3 times because he walked to lead off the game, at least the bottom half of the first, which means that Kevin McGonigal 53 times this year has been on base multiple times in a game. That is an American League rookie record before the All-Star game, breaking the mark set by Aaron Judge in 2017. I bring that up also because he lays off 79.3% of the pitches outside the zone.
It's really impressive to watch. And the more and more this kid hears about these kind of numbers, and they get brought up to him in interviews or questions or whatever, it just doesn't seem to get to him either, which is the most impressive part to me. It feels like he still stays in the moment, and he's just been the same player no matter what.
Very level-headed.
That's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
No question. The 79.3% spit rate of pitches outside the zone, my term, over the last 20 years, no one has posted a better career rate. Now, it might be a small sample size, and it is. But he's I think if you'll remember back before the season began, I said, he's going to end up hitting at the top of the order. They started him at the bottom of the order, and they did that because he's a rookie. I said, you watch, he will be at the top of the order. He's a 1 or a 2 in your order. And he's going to be that for the bulk of his career. Why, people asked. My response was because he gets on base. I don't care how he gets on base. I care that he gets on base. Am I right, Billy Bean? Yes, I am right.
Classic.
Okay. All right. He's got an on-base percentage of almost 400. Now, I know this team needs all kinds of power. You do too, although I'll give you some numbers that might surprise you a little bit. He's not Yordan Alvarez yet. He's not Nick Kurtz yet. Both of them are over 400. So is Juan Soto. So is Shohei Ohtani. So is Yandy Diaz. So is James Wood. The difference is all those men have been in the league for a little bit. Wood, not quite as long. Kevin McGonigal is 7th in Major League Baseball and 4th in the American League in on-base percentage. Talk about setting a table. Talking about doing what is best for your team. He has been what's best for this team.
Yeah, he's not the kind of player right now that's just like hitting up in the order because he's in the Tigers, or we obviously have had our problems with the Tigers lineup. But like he would hit up in the order in a lot of lineups in baseball.
Oh, I would argue who's a better leadoff guy?
That's the question. Yeah, who is a better at it? I don't know.
Yeah, and we had this question yesterday. We talked about who's the most deserving All-Star, and we would all agree. And I think that'll come out, with Dylan Dingler. It did come out with Dylan Dingler. And I agree with all that. But this is the kid who really, this is the guy who, I hate that phrase sometimes, kid. This is the guy who really sets the tone. And it's been refreshing, to watch. It's been really strong. It's been really fun to watch taken at bat. And I don't want to compare him to, the best of the best. That's unfair to him. Because as a player, you don't want, you want to set your own path. It's not fair to sit there and say, well, he reminds me of Pete Rose. He reminds me of Tony Gwynn, whatever. I'm telling you, man, this kid, and people have said this for a while. I understand that. But what I love about him is his approach more than anything else. And I'm not sure enough gets said about that. The approach. And this continues. Detroit's in really good shape. Now, do they need more around him? Absolutely. Okay. However, when you look at him, every pitcher, right away, you talk about right off the hop. It's like watching the Lions. How do you defend all their different weapons? As soon as the Pistons win the jump ball and Cade Cunningham gets the ball in his hands, there's no exhale. You've got to lock in right away, right? Bottom of the first, top of the first, depending on where the Tigers are playing. If you're the starting pitcher, you better lock in against Kevin McGonigal. Dude's a hell of a player, and he sets the stage for this team. This team has people believing, right or wrong, whether you believe it or not. There's a reason. There's a lot of people who are excited right now, even though this team is 9 games under 500. I heard somebody say yesterday, well, only 9 games under 500. You get past the double digits. That's really good stuff. 4.5 for the wild card. You never know. Okay. Here's the reason they're excited. Since June 1st, and we can parse numbers all we want. Since June 1st, winning percentage #1 in the American League. Their batting average is top 10. Their runs per game is 3rd. Their homers are 1st. Their OPS is 2nd. Their ERA is 1st. Those are really good numbers. You'd love to be able to sustain them. Can they sustain them? Certain numbers they can. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Welcome to X's and Bros. Excuse me. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. We're glad you're with us. Brought to you by Mitch Lyons Well.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC Warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC Warehouse locations in Michigan.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meijer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies for $1 or less, including Meijer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meijer toaster pastries, pancake mix, syrup, and instant oatmeal, all just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See the Meijer app for details.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
coming out of camp, making the team, and saying it hasn't really hit me yet, but I feel like this is the moment when it's all hitting me right now, and I think it's just really cool that I'm able to go back, see family, friends, and have them there. A part of it's going to be an unbelievable experience, and to share a locker room with those guys is just something else as well. So super excited for it. I always dreamed about going to a game just to watch, like an all-star game at Philly, just to watch as a fan, but now I'm going to be able to watch and play in it. So it's going to be, like I said, an unreal experience, and super pumped.
Good stuff from Kevin McGonigal and from Andy McDonald to get it in our system. Here's what I like about Detroit's All-Stars. It's not a popularity vote.
Amen.
All three of those players deserve to be there.
100%.
And I don't say that with bias. I say this with facts. Riley Green, outside of Yordan Alvarez, Riley Green's the best left fielder in baseball. I know some Tiger fans don't believe that. They shake their head. They say it's ridiculous. How can you talk about him like that? Look at the way he runs, all this other stuff. Juan Soto is a better hitter. Riley Green's a much, and I mean a much better left fielder. Would you rather have Brian Reynolds? Stop me when I'm done. Would you rather have Randy Arozarena? Would you rather have Taylor Ward? Isaac Collins? Tyler Soderstrom? I'm just asking.
No, I mean, maybe you can make arguments for some guys, but it's not like none of these guys.
Who? Who are you making an argument for?
There's no one I'm making an argument for.
Juan Soto probably.
Sure, yeah, Juan Soto, 100%.
Offensively.
Yeah.
I'm talking about an overall player.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that Riley Green is not the guy that you'd want out there. That's why he's made 3 straight All-Star games.
I mean, you like Cody Bellinger. That's a possibility. I'm bringing up names that maybe come to mind. That's all. Alvarez for sure. Guess what? Alvarez is more of a DH than anything else. He's not a good left fielder. Riley Green's a really good fielding left fielder as well. So he deserves to be there. Kevin McGonigal, he doesn't play like a rookie, everybody. It's really not close. He's got an on-base percentage of 389. I'll just say 390 if that's okay. This is the list. This came from an MLB account. This is the list of rookies to have a 400 on-base percentage since 1939. You ready? Juan Soto. He was 19 in Washington, second in Rookie of the Year. Albert Pujols, 1 Rookie of the Year. John Kruk. Mitchell Page. Richie Ashburn, really good player for Philadelphia. Ferris Fane, don't know who that is, 1947. Earl Torgeson, don't know who that is, again, 1947. And Ted Williams. And Ted Williams' on-base percentage, by the way, that year, as a 20-year-old, was .436. Go ahead, shake your head vehemently with me. Unbelievable, right? Arguably the greatest hitter of all time. Anyway, Kevin McGonigal might join that list. I don't know. I don't care right now if he joins that list, because if you said to me he finishes with 389 OBP, I'd be like, oh my God, sure, you'd take it. That's how good he has been. So he's earned it. And Dylan Dingler, as A.J. Hinch has said numerous times, with no bias whatsoever, his catcher's the best catcher in baseball. And he is. In so many different areas. When I say I think that this player is the best player, I mean overall. I'm not saying he's the best hitter. I'm saying he's the best player at his position. You literally have Kevin McGonigal, unfortunately, doesn't have a position. Sometimes he's the third baseman, sometimes it's shortstop. You literally have, we always talk about this with the Lions, don't we? We say they have arguably a top 5 running back, top 5 wide receiver, top 10 quarterback. They have a top 5 tackle. They have a top 5 linebacker, a top 5 defensive end. Remember, we say that quite a bit. That's part of the reason we get disappointed when they don't succeed. The Tigers have a top 5 left fielder, a top 5 catcher, a top 5 left side of the infielder in Kevin McGonigal. Maybe he's top 10. Top 5 might be a little bit of a stretch. All right? Just because, well, in the American League, would he be top 5? Would Kevin McGonigal be a top 5 American League third baseman? I would ask you that.
It feels like he could be. I don't know.
Junior Caminero?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
There's some other names at that position for sure.
Jose Ramirez?
Yep. Really good.
For sure. Okay. Michael Garcia? Maybe. I think he's a top 5 third baseman in the American League. If he's the shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr., he's better than J.P. Crawford offensively, not defensively. Zach Neto, better offensively than Zach Neto. Anyway, you could say he's a top 5 left side of the infielder in the American League. And then you've got a top 5 pitcher in Tarek Skubal. Although I would like my guy to go further than 5 innings, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I think he tied
96 pitches. Here's the 96 pitches.
Yeah,
here's the reason. He's got 9 strikeouts. I'm not asking him to pull off the pedal at all. That's who he is, and he should be. I get tired of the pitch count, but I don't want to talk about that this morning. That's not fair. All right? So a good, nice 6-2 win for the Tigers. They've won 6 of 7. All right? That's where they're at. And tonight is game 2, Troy Melton against Jeffrey Springs. By the way, the Dodgers lost yesterday, but Shohei Ohtani hit his 300th home run. Not of the season, but of his career. He's the 5th fastest player to 300 homers in a game. Who do you think is ahead of him in that regard? Who's the fastest? Who are the four fastest? And he's the first player in MLB history with 300 homers and 100 stolen bases in his first 9 seasons. If that helps you. That's pretty impressive stuff, I think. Anyway, not that we're going to talk about the Dodgers at all, but I just wanted to let you know. In case you were wondering. Pistons have traded Karis LeVert and 2 second-round picks to Milwaukee for Taurean Prince and Gary Harris. Prince is 32. Harris is 31. Prince averages 10 points per game in his career. So does Harris. And I'm rounding up, by the way. They're both at like 9.9. Harris is averaging 1.5 triples per game. The Pistons have also created a lot of cap space with this move. And they have created luxury space. It screams bigger move coming. Now, is that bigger move welcoming Jalen Duren? I don't know. Part of it. We all hope is what? We all hope that there's another move other than that. Because with all due respect, and Marcus Sasser goes to Dallas in this move, aren't you wondering where the addressing of the need is? I know. So am I. No, well, we'll get to that coming up. Novak Djokovic has advanced to the semifinals at Wimbledon. Folks, this is his 55th major semifinal appearance. That's more than any man in the history of the sport. He beat the 3 seed, Felix Auger Aliassime in 5 sets, including 3 that required tiebreakers. So Aliassime was the 3rd seed. Djokovic was the 7th. Lasted 5 hours and 15 minutes. You talk about, like I hear people all the time talking about soccer and how you got to be in such great shape. Tennis, it's unreal. Longest quarterfinal match in Wimbledon men's history. So the 39-year-old, he's 39, is the oldest to reach the semis in the last 50 years. And next he will battle defending champ Jannik Sinner in the semifinals. Here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Is Dan Campbell a top 5 NFL coach? Vote as often as you want at XB Morning. Andy has tweeted it out. I've retweeted it, and we look forward to your feedback when we give you the final results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. We're brought to you by
Huge here
Michelin.
for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings across Michigan. You can watch the end of the World Cup at all Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan. Yes, the U.S. has been bounced, but the best teams in the world remain. And you can watch all the games on all the TVs at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Every single World Cup game that's left, you can watch it at your local Buffalo Wild Wings.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
I mean, he should start the All-Star game. He's the best catcher in baseball, no doubt. And go look at every single number, so he should be the one behind the dish. The guy on the other side is very good too, but, I think he's the best catcher in baseball, and he's got every number to back it up. It's not just an opinion, it's a fact. So it's awesome, though, that he's going to go, to Philly and enjoy that experience. And, he's earned every single part of it, and then, I think he should start the All-Star game.
It's Tarek Subel. Good stuff. No question. He doesn't say that just as a battery mate. He says that as a baseball player, and he's right. Tarek Subel had 9 strikeouts last night, which is impressive. Here's what's really, really impressive. Most games with 10 strikeouts or more this season. Jacob Mizorowski has 8 for Milwaukee. Dylan Cease has 5. Christopher Sanchez has 4. And then there's a number of pitchers, including Paul Skeens, with 3. 8. I mean, no one's close.
Just a little hint at the Daily Wager from last night. That's for sure.
Oh, I like that. Good tease for the 8 o'clock hour. Ready to have your mind blown? Here's your statistic of the day. We try to do this on a regular basis. Once a day, we give you something that makes you go, what? Have you ever heard of Frank White?
It doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head.
Okay. Frank White was one of the better second basemen in all of baseball during his stretch.
Okay.
All right. He played 18 years for the Kansas City Royals. He was a phenomenal player. He was. He won 8 Gold Gloves. He was a Silver Slugger. He was a 5-time All-Star. He's not a Hall of Famer. Won a World Series ring. Lost the ALCS to the Tigers in '84. Anyway, and at 18 years, he wasn't as good as Lou Whitaker, but 18 years, he was a really good player, as you can tell. He played over 2,300 games, Andy. Okay, 2,300, and he faced 703 pitchers in his career.
Pretty impressive stuff. Yeah.
Got it? Okay. Bobby Witt Jr. plays for the same franchise. He's played for 5 years. He's played 712 games, and he's faced more pitchers already.
No, that's mind blowing. That's not where I expected you to go with that. Like originally, that's crazy.
That is nuts. Speaking of baseball, Joey Cora has been replaced as the third base coach. That will make a lot of Tigers fans happy. They got tired of the windmill at third and a player being thrown out by 6 feet. I get that. AJ Hinch goes through a lot of base coaches. Chip Hale in his first year, although Chip Hale left to go be the manager or the head coach at Arizona, University of Arizona, his alma mater. So maybe that's unfair. Ramon Santiago, Gary Jones, Anthony Iapoce, Joey Cora. That's a lot. He's had a lot of turnover on his staff. I don't know what to read into that. I'm just saying. I mean, if some of them are getting promotions, like Gary Jones, I think was moved on because he wanted to be a manager in the minor leagues or something like that. Ramon Santiago was a little bit of a surprise because a lot of players really liked him. He worked with them infield wise as well. Anyway, AJ Hinch on the reason for the move at this stage of the season. Here he is.
I love Joey. Joey loved being a Tiger. He's been instrumental in his time here. But similar to a family, sometimes it doesn't last forever. We had some philosophical differences, and we both just agreed it's probably best for the players and everybody to separate.
He went on to say, we hugged a little bit. We teared up a little bit. I'm a better manager for working with him. He's a tremendous baseball mind, tremendous baseball person. AJ Hinch says all the right things. All right. I don't know what one particular play did it. He has said, I want my teams to be aggressive on the base paths. And there's no question.
They were aggressive, that's for sure.
There is a difference. Is there not? There is a difference between being aggressive.
Oh, yeah. There's a big difference.
And being, irresponsible. And I think more oftentimes than not, he's been irresponsible.
Yeah, it felt like there was times where he just made up his mind to send people the second the ball was hitting play. Yeah, that's not good.
You know, there is a part of, I think, a lot of baseball fans who think, well, if you've got to do a relay, you're going to have to it's going to take 2 perfect throws to get it. And I understand why some people feel that way. But with Joey Cora at third base, oftentimes it didn't take 2 perfect throws. It just took 2 throws to get there. And it's probably smart to move on. When A.J. Hinch said, this is the thing that caught my ear, I don't know if you picked it up, probably best for the players and everybody to separate.
Yeah, that was interesting to me, for sure.
That tells me that players were frustrated.
Yeah, not happy with the decisions getting sent.
Usually you don't hear a manager bring players.
That's embarrassing when you're halfway down the baseline, the catcher's got the ball in his mitt, and you're just like, okay, well, I'm out. And then, it makes me look dumb too. So, yeah. I got to imagine that was a part of it.
Yeah, without question. All right, let's talk Pistons here, because the Pistons, and I know, look, regarding the Tigers, there are some people who are starting to believe a little bit more. Detroit is, in case you were wondering, they are 6.5 back in the division. All right. And in the wild card race, they still remain 5 back. They still have Houston, Minnesota, Toronto, Boston, and Baltimore to leapfrog, and Texas. I'm sorry, because Texas is in number 3 wild card. They have that many teams to leapfrog. It's not impossible. It's quite honestly, it's doable. Evan Woodbury of MLife tweeted out last night, the Tigers only play 1 team in July after the All-Star break that's above 500. And I thought, okay, this is where you need to be careful. This is what feeds the beast, Andy. This is where your buddies grab a hold of something like that and they go, yeah, see, it's very doable. Look at what we have in front of us. We can do this. And I'm not saying they can't. So please don't take it out of context. However, I would remind you, Detroit is under 500.
9 games under 500.
Yeah.
I'm with all that because you can't deny the numbers that are in front of them. They've done crazier things than this just 2 years ago with a lot of the same players. But at the end of the day, I don't want it to change like a lot of their plans going forward for their future. If it's going to make them better, because are you really thinking a team that's 9 games under 500 is going to win a World Series? Now, I understand maybe at the end of the year, we're just like, wow, May was the worst possible month and they were a way better team than that. But that's again where Scott Harris, that's his job, man. He's got to figure out if he thinks this team is actually going to be this good for the rest of the season, or if it's somewhere in the middle of where they were in May and how good they've been since June started, I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. What I was going to suggest to people is, before you start to take a look at that, I would remind you that Detroit has had trouble with teams who are under 500.
That's the truth. Yeah.
So a lot is made of the Tigers and what they've done against teams that are over 500. Remember? Oh, look at what they've done. Since June 1st, they're 19-12. Look what they've done against teams that are over 500. Yes. Look at what they've done. If you're going to use this argument, that's all I'm saying. Look at what they've done against teams that are under 500. Okay? So that's where you got to be really careful when you start parsing numbers with this stuff. They're 500 against the AL West now. They're 500 against the AL East. They are 9-16 against the AL Central. And then when it comes to the National League, they're 11-13 so far. So I don't know. I don't know how much that truly means to people. I'm not saying you should go to the bank with that and bet against them. I'm just reminding you that you've got to be careful when it comes to looking at all the numbers that we talk about. Okay. Speaking of numbers, okay, the Pistons, this Pistons move does not move your needle. I understand that. I don't expect it to. Karis LeVert, who was making close to $15 million, is out. Gary Harris is in, $3.8 million. Taurean Prince is in, $3.8 million. Right? So you're saving some money here. They have, depending on, you got Isaiah Stewart gone, Karis LeVert gone, Marcus Sasser gone. You've cleared, with those players gone, $35 million by offloading those contracts. It sure, it sure means to me, and they're $48 million under the luxury tax is what many people are reporting. They've got 15 players under contract. They've got more than enough room to re-sign Jalen Duren or take back some money in a sign and trade if Duren lands somewhere else. And it sure doesn't look like he can. I mean, we talked with Amari Sankofa yesterday at the Free Press. Think about this for a minute. You've got two guys in this town pushing to go someplace else. And they and their representatives have not read the proverbial room of the league. Jalen Duren, go get the sign and trade. Find me the team that can do it. That team's going to have to make a lot of moves to do it, right? Dylan Larkin, reportedly, has not moved off the three teams that he wants to go to. They can't swing a deal that is enticing enough for the general manager of your team.
You want to talk about a report that made people mad yesterday?
Well, yeah, and we'll get to that for sure. but this is called overplaying your hand.
100%.
Okay. Now, regarding the Pistons, I don't know how Detroit sports fans will take this. Jalen Duren, it's been well known that he tried to Sacramento, the Lakers, force a sign and trade. Neither team was able to do something like that, especially the Lakers. How does he get, if he stays in Detroit, how does he get, when he's introduced, how does he get received? Dylan Larkin on the team, wearing the same number on his back without the C on the front. How does he get received? I think we pretty much know. Okay? Those are the risks you take. These are the chances. When you do something like this and it doesn't come to fruition yet. I've said this for a long time. Everyone's like, oh, the Larkin's got all the leverage. No, he doesn't. Steve Eisenman's the one who's got to pull the trigger. Steve Eisenman's not just to go, you know what, Dylan, you're right. I mean, we failed. I want what's best for you. You know what? I'm going to send you to the place you want, and I'm just going to take back garbage just so I can make sure you get the opportunity to reach the playoffs, since you've only done it once in your career. So we're good, you and me. Right on, brother. No, he's not doing that. I mean, do you know who you're dealing with? No, I'm serious. Here's what Dylan Larkin's done in this whole situation. He has made people defend Steve Eisenman now. This is how bad it's gotten and how short-sighted he and his representatives have been. I wonder if people feel the same way about Jalen Duren. Anyway, Bucks are able to, I saw a report yesterday. The Bucks have been able to double their second-round picks from 2 to 4 in the deal. Second-round pick, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
Now, unless you're going to use that for a trade. I'll give you a couple second rounders to move up again in the first, whatever. The NBA draft, I've said this ad nauseum, it's not like the NFL draft where a second round pick is really valuable.
No, but Jalen Brunson was drafted in the second round, so you should
right. So is Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, you got the couple of unicorns that worked out, so it's all
so everybody uses that.
Yeah, it seriously is
like that's the norm.
Like, it was like when they get to the second round of the draft day, it's all they talked about on the broadcast the whole time was, who was drafted in the second round, right?
Yeah,
it's like okay,
yep. Right, and that because it fits, it's a very convenient fit for them.
Sure,
you and I can bring up plenty with Manu Ginobili and Dennis Rodman and Michael Redd and Paul Millsap if you want. These guys are all second-round pick. Tony Kukoc, Carlos Boozer, the dad, okay? DeAndre Jordan, really good rebounder. He was a second-round pick. Rashard Lewis, on and on and on. But you know what else? Who's the best? Who are some of the best players of all time? Where were they drafted? The majority of the best players of all time were drafted in the first round. Nobody's waiting to the second round to take Michael Jordan. They're not waiting to take LeBron James. They're not waiting to take Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, or Larry Bird, or Isaiah Thomas. We can go on and on and on. Next time somebody has that debate with you, that's what you want. Fine. You want 4 second-round picks? Cool. I'll take the player. Right. I'll take the established player. Okay. Here's the thing that I think is frustrating more than a few Pistons fans. What was the number one need for the Pistons in the offseason? If you had to check a box and you're Trajan Langdon, what are the things you wanted to check?
More shooting.
Shooting?
The floor.
And what? Secondary ball handler.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And is Isaiah Joe the shooter?
He is, but is he enough? Is he enough
sort
to
of.
Really, if they don't, Duncan Robinson's gone, is he really, is he just replacing Duncan Robinson? I mean, that's what it feels like to me. You know what I mean?
Yes. And he's not. Okay, because he doesn't play enough, he doesn't shoot enough. And that's okay. He fits a really solid role. It's not I'm starting this guy and he's going to start pouring in 26 or 27 for me. Am I wrong there?
No, yeah, you're right. I'd agree with that.
Okay.
This is where it's tough with these moves because, when they're in the offseason, because it's so hard to be patient at certain times, and other teams keep making moves when you're just seeing these little marginal moves, and you're like, what's coming for us? Like, is there going to be something bigger? Because that's what everybody wants right now. There's no question about it.
Yes,
they want a more complete player that can do a lot of the things that they need.
Now, in fairness, let's be fair to Isaiah Joe, who averages in Oklahoma City over the last few years, about 21 minutes a game. He's averaging 11 points per game. So that's the reason I'm coming to the conclusion. Is that okay? I hope it's okay, because I don't think he's the guy who's going to give you just a slew of points. Think about it. I mean, in the series against San Antonio, his series high was 11. He scored 3 points, no points, 11 points, 3 points, no points against San Antonio. Played on a better team. He's not a guy who's going to fill up the stat sheet in the scoring column. John Collins. Yeah, I mean, he can score the ball. Not necessarily a three-point shooter. Neither one of them are the secondary ball handler that you truly envisioned. Okay? The Pistons, through the playoffs, what many of us were talking about is that they lacked somebody outside of Cade Cunningham to create their own shot. All right? Maybe Ibuka Okori can do that. He's 19, man. So that's why they're trying to get a co-star. All right? Other teams have done that. I mean, he did try and do that with Reeves and Hero and things like that. But other teams are doing it, and the Pistons haven't. That's why I think there's a bigger move coming. Quick timeout. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth. This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Huge here for the Purple community of Van Andel Institute. They're honored to be a part of the Make Ways for a Great Cause at the Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. Grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise awareness and critical funds for community health programs at Hackley Community Care and Breast Cancer Research at Van Andel Institute. Paddleboarders of all experience levels are welcome. The vibrant event will also include yoga, music, family-friendly entertainment, and screenings for breast cancer. Learn more about Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore and register at suftc.org.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
They have more rebounds.
You said he got out-rebounded. I was surprised. You did. 36-32. How does Yale out-rebound Baylor?
You go up and grab the ball off the rim when it comes off, and then you grab it with two hands, and you come down with it, and that's considered a rebound. So they got more of those than we did.
It's Tarian Prince when he played at Baylor, and they played Yale in the NCAA tournament, and people trying to get him to say something without being a smartass. And I thought it was one of the better quotes you've seen in recent NCAA tournament post-game history. Welcome back.
Well, how many times
when
we were talking about the playoffs were we mad about the Pistons not getting rebounds? So maybe this guy knows the fundamentals clearly. So they
clearly, yeah,
that must have been the reason they went that direction.
now the question, Andy, becomes: can he do that with the Pistons? Will he do that with the Pistons? Will he be able to put that to use? He only averages better than me, 3.5 rebounds per game in his career, 3.5 rebounds per game. They are getting, in this case, the most he's ever had was 6 rebounds per game in a single season. They're getting a body. Okay?
I mean,
they
yeah,
got 2 bodies. Yeah. I mean, neither one of these guys, at least based on their history and the Pistons need, neither one will become an integral point of this season. I don't believe. Think about it for a minute. It's media day. Where are the cameras and microphones going? Maybe Gary Harris because he played at MSU, but not much. Neither one of these guys. Hey, a feel-good story from last night. Ready? I gave you the startling statistic earlier in the show that Frank White, who played 18 years for the Kansas City Royals, faced fewer pitchers than Bobby Witt Jr., who's played 5 years for the Kansas City Royals. Okay? There was a really good – the Mets this season have stunk, all right? You think it's been a tough year for the Tigers. The Mets are 38 up and 54 down. They have the highest payroll in baseball. They have a losing record at home. They are awful. They gave up 16 runs last night to the Kansas City Royals, who are challenged offensively. They gave up 19 hits. Royals made 3 errors, Andy, to try and help the Mets. 3 errors on one play. A throwaway at first, a throwaway from right field to home that wasn't even close to home. It was between first and home. And then a throwaway back down to first or at home plate.
Kind of
3 errors on one batted ball.
Doesn't feel possible to Major League game until you see it. And then you're just like, wow.
It's a painful watch. But Kansas City won 16-12. And I know you're probably going, where the hell's the feel-good story? Here's the feel-good story. 31-year-old Matt Seelinger was a 28th round pick in 2017 out of a Division III school called Farmingdale State on Long Island. Got it? Okay. He spent 9 years pitching in the minors. He went with 5 different teams. He pitched in independent ball, which is really tough. So if you're looking for it, think of Jimmy John's Field in Utica. That's independent ball. They don't have a home. There's not a team that owns them. All right? Independent. Last night, he made his major league debut. 20 minutes from where he grew up, because he was pitching in Queens for the Mets. 20 minutes from where he grew up, he trotted out from the bullpen as a 28th round pick in 2017. Most people would have given up.
100%. Yeah, that's awesome.
How great is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not, you don't see
Here's
people.
the bad news. You ready? Here's the bad news. All right, the bad news is he lasted 2 innings. He gave up 5 hits, and he gave up 7 earned runs. His ERA is 31.5.
They made him come in and wear it, pretty much. This is what that sounds like.
That's exactly what it sounds like. You're hoping that is like, that's movie stuff.
I was going to say, that's like the movie where like the guy finally gets the chance, but then like, it's like almost supposed to be like a comedy scene because they do so poorly and they give up all these runs in the situation they've waited, forever for. The reality, like the slapper reality type thing. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty somber at the end.
Yeah, that's tough. I
unfortunately.
mean, you know what? I'd rather be able to tell my kids that I pitched in the major leagues and had a 31 ERA than say that I never pitched in the major leagues. So
100%. I think what happens in sports with the whole salary caps and the luxury taxes and things of that nature can be very discerning and tough to figure out. Okay. Omari Sankofa, who joined us yesterday, put it well in the Free Press yesterday. He said Pistons saved roughly $7.2 million in the Karis LeVert deal. They shed Sasser's $5.2 million owed next season and will generate a trade exemption worth $15 million. This is where it becomes necessary to have traded certain players, and not just Sasser and LeVert, but also Isaiah Stewart earlier. Prince is on an expiring contract. It's an expiring contract for Gary Harris as well. Neither one of them factor in a ton. And it creates some, in his words, flexibility for the whole Pistons situation. They also get a hell of a deal on John Collins through this deal. All right. So you're looking at basically it's a 6-team transaction that includes the Bucks and the Mavericks and the Wizards and the Clippers and the Pistons. They've trimmed $12 million off the books. They've carved out a lot of salary cap room for under the luxury tax. And it means that they can go and sign, if they want, Jalen Duren to the 25% max that he was eligible for prior to the year. That means it would be $239 million. And he would get like roughly $41 million per season, which to me is too much. They don't have to pay him that. He can come back at a more manageable term, and you can let him test free agency after the year. I wouldn't pay him $41.2 million, would you? I think that's financially irresponsible.
Yeah, no, it's not it. Don't do that. Nope.
No, I wouldn't do it either. And I like him, but I wouldn't do that. So here's what you're looking at. At the point guard position, it's Cade Cunningham. Please stay healthy. Danis Jenkins and Abuka Okori, the rookie out of Stanford. Right, there's your point guards. Your shooting guards, Duncan Robinson, Isaiah Joe. They re-upped with Javonte Green, the only Piston to play every game. Chaz Lanier, their second-round pick from a year ago, and Gary Harris. They ain't all making this team. The small forward, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Kevin Huerter, Taurean Prince. Your power forward, John Collins. Your center, Jalen Duren, we think, Paul Reed, Tolu Smith, Ugana Onyenso. That's a 2-way contract. G League and NBA. Isaac Jones is another power forward. It's a 2-way contract. So that's your team right now. Knowing that how much better other teams got. And I'm not even going to bring in Miami with Giannis Antetokounmpo because I think they're lacking quite a bit. But you've got, and we brought this up last week, you've got other teams in the East that are considerably better than they were a year ago, including, I might add, the Washington Wizards.
Wizards are definitely an intriguing team this year. They had
Don't you
some
think?
interesting pieces for sure.
Yeah. It's a team, I think, that in the Southeast, that's the division they play in. In the Southeast, they're going to make some noise. Trae Young. I don't know how good AJ Diambate is going to be, the first overall pick. Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, DeAndre Ayton. They've gotten a lot better. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as we stream live on X, YouTube, and on Facebook.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make ways for a great cause at Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. You can grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise critical funds for breast cancer research and awareness programs. Register for Stand Up for the Cure at suftc.org.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
You know what they call it these days in basketball when you're grabbing free agents and those free agents aren't necessarily working out or they're not the big name you hope they would? It's along the margins is what they say. If you follow an NBA insider, Jake Weinbach, he wrote this yesterday. The Pistons have cleared $35 million by offloading the contracts of Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert, and Marcus Sasser. Detroit appears to be preparing for a larger move. And he followed that up with saying, I would closely monitor the Pistons as a potential suitor for Peyton Watson. Now, so when he wrote that, I immediately thought, okay, how good is Peyton Watson? First of all, he's affordable. He played in Denver, made $4.3 million last year. 41% from three last year, off 3 shots per game, which is pretty damn good. Helps create some space, which is important too. Not a high volume scorer either. He's going to give you last year he gave Denver 14.5 points per game in almost 30 minutes. All right. And in case he played his college ball at UCLA, wasn't great for UCLA. He's young. He's only 23, so that's good. It's again one of if this is a big if, but if it's a similar move to that, I think Piston fans are starting to get a little anxious. Could you understand why?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100%.
I would too.
I think anybody would feel that way right now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you see other teams in your conference making major moves.
Yeah, they're going.
I've never, as far as a general manager is concerned, I've never been the guy who says, you've got to do this to satisfy us fans. And the reason I say that, how many people thought it was great that they grabbed Malik Beasley 2 years ago when they signed him? What did you think? Be honest. When the announcement was made that the Pistons have signed Malik Beasley to a free agent contract,
I mean, I wasn't you stoked about it. That's for sure.
No, of course you weren't. Because the year before in Milwaukee, he averaged 11 points per game. You didn't think much of it. I didn't think much of it either. It's not like he was a well-known commodity in the NBA. He'd played 10 years. He was a career 11 points per game type of player. Oh, by the way, I just described Isaiah Joe for Oklahoma City, but he gave them what they needed. And then the belief is, can you really find lightning in a bottle more than once? Well, you've got to know your team, and I think Trajan Langdon has as good a pulse on his team as perhaps any general manager in our city. The problem is they haven't addressed the need that they have yet. So it's not as much about the name, it's about the skill set of the player that you're trying to bring in here.
Yeah, I think it's more about too, like, just people. The reason people get anxious is they wonder if these moves are going to be able to actually get them over the hump because of where they ended last season at.
Yeah, this is very creative. Our friend Freddie Texas, very creative. Pistons got an Isaiah and a Isaiah Joe, all in one player. They also got a Prince on the margins.
Yes, they did.
Right?
Yes, they did.
Now go get a Rashid and a Mark, not on the margins, and they can beat anyone. That type of player, right? Via text, Shep, kudos to Detroit for getting rid of a coach who technically, when technically they still are in it. Personally, I think no way they need to sell to set this team up. Even their farm system has dropped to 22. Thought Wonder Boy was brought in to do better. Shep, the Lions went cheap on defense and offensive coordinators when a team with a short window needed experience like Philly hired Fangio. Well, Philadelphia had hired Fangio after misfiring on previous coordinators. I don't think it was cheap with Drew Petzing. Let me ask you this. Who are the best coordinators in football? Give me a guy who you think is really, really good. I would say Steve Spagnuolo, right? He's a defensive coordinator for Kansas City. Todd Monken was highly thought of for the Baltimore Ravens, but he became a head coach. He got a head coaching gig in Cleveland. Fangio's part of that for sure. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota. Would you have loved him? Me too. Stayed in Minnesota. Robert Saleh, the Dearborn native. Would you have wanted him as the defensive coordinator in San Francisco?
Talked about him for a while. That's for sure.
But he became a head coach. Right? So he's now in Tennessee. Joe Brady. People raved about him as an offensive coordinator. He became the head coach in Buffalo.
Brandon Staley, I feel like people.
That's a good one. Vance Joseph, Denver defensive coordinator. Would you have brought Jim Schwartz back?
Man,
as a DC. He's had good defenses, that's for sure. So very, very good defense.
It'd be interesting to bring him back, but that'd be. Yeah, it's not like what he does in the field. You like that for sure,
right? But as a coordinator, you're not as out front in the media as a head coach was, sure. Right? Jesse Minter, hell of a defensive coach.
Yeah, for sure.
But became a head coach. My point is,
it's hard to think.
Give me the options. Give me the guys, and those are just 10, 9, 10, whatever. I don't know how many guys we named that are coming off the top of our head. Who's the guy you wanted and they didn't get? Who was available? The only one I could think of in there, Schwartz and Flores stayed in Minnesota because he wanted a head coaching gig. Oh my God, guy actually wants to get better. And he was a head coach in Miami. And by the way, and didn't do a very good job there, and players didn't like him. So you go and you get a guy like that, and people are pissed off about it to a certain extent. I'm not trying to defend Kelvin Shepard here. It's a big year for him. There's no question about that. But it's convenient to use Vic Fangio as the example when there aren't many other former coordinators you could have brought in to satisfy that type of appetite for that type of experience because of where they are. Damn it, they went cheap. Did they go cheap? Drew Petzing was an offensive coordinator. How is that going cheap? You didn't promote from within there. You promoted from within your defensive coordinator position. Oh, by the way, the last time Dan Campbell did that, he promoted from within, was Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson turned out to be pretty damn good. Did they go on the cheap then? No. So we'll see what happens. It's not like I was thrilled with the Drew Petzing hire. I actually was kind of in favor of Mike Kafka, if you recall. Mike Kafka's on this staff. So how can I be mad about that? And from a defensive coordinator standpoint, they've got to be better with Kelvin Shepard. I need a name. I need somebody you wanted. If you wanted Jim Schwartz, and I think he's one of the better defensive coordinators of his era, no question, okay? Stints with the Bills and the Eagles, the Browns. They have been, is it fair to say they've been asked to carry Cleveland's water considering the problem with their offense? Yes. They ranked 6th during the Jim Schwartz era of estimated play average and 2nd in success rate of allowed EPA 2 years ago. So he had Myles Garrett, but he made the most of Myles Garrett. He made that defense better. If that's who you would have wanted, sayonara to Kelvin Shepard, bring in Jim Schwartz, I understand that. All I ask is, instead of just saying they went on the cheap, which I don't think they did, give me the name you want associated with it, because you brought up the one where it was successful, but you didn't bring up one that they could have had. Quick timeout. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies for $1 or less, including Meyer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meyer toaster pastries, pancake mix, syrup, and instant oatmeal, all just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See the Meyer app for details.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together.
I've always liked this team, and I like this team. And I said last week I wasn't trying to make this big statement, but we have a good team and a bad record. Now that bad record's gotten better since the last time I said that, and that's what we have to continue to chip away to get truly back in this thing. And but I feel optimistic because our team is starting to do the things that we expected to do. We're pitching incredibly well at the onset of games. Our starting rotation's been excellent. Our offense has been widespread.
Offense has been not getting nearly enough attention. It's been really good, okay, with slug, home runs since June 1st. Still a long way to go. A.J. Hinch on his team right now. Of course he likes his team. He'll put it together. I mean, it's not a knock on the soundbite. It's a good soundbite. I understand why he says it. I think part of a manager and a coach's job is to reinstill confidence in their team. That's okay. But I don't expect anything different. Do you expect him to sit behind a microphone? Before Carlos Mendoza got fired with the Mets, do you expect him to sit behind a microphone and go, I got to tell you, man, I hate this team. It stinks. All right.
No shot.
There's nothing about this team I like. I don't think they play the game the right way. Why? Because it's an indictment on you. So, of course, he's going to say, I've said before I like this team. Yeah, he said it last week. It's easy to say I like this team. They've won 6 of 7. All right? And they're playing really well since June 1st. Why not us? Okay, of course, Team USA said that in soccer, and why not us is pretty obvious. But sure, why not us? In a league right now, first of all, in a division that you're not convinced of, you're never going to be convinced of the division. Even if the Tigers were in front, you'd still be saying the division isn't very good. But in a league that you don't feel is very good, the Yankees are in deep trouble. They have. Did you see what happened with the Yankees yesterday?
I did not.
Okay, so it's really hard. I understand that it's hard because there's a lot of baseball going on. There's a lot of sports going on. The Yankees struck out 17 times yesterday.
That's wild.
Okay, they have back-to-back games of striking out 17 times or more. They're in a free fall. They're only 9 games over 500. Okay. They lost to Tampa, by the way, 6-4. How many teams? This is what Tigers fans who are believers, and I understand why. How many teams are really good in the American League, in your mind? If you've watched a lot of baseball, and I'm sure you do, who's really good? Like, what team stands out to you? I want to know what team you watch goes, ain't no way we're beating them.
There isn't really.
There's nobody.
There's nobody in the American
League.
League. I mean, you're not going to say that about anybody, no.
No. Now, I would turn that around, and I would say to you, if your team was 17 games over 500 and somebody answered that way, would you be offended? We have a tendency to be a little offended, easily offended in Detroit, in the state of Michigan. No offense. It's true. Okay. I'm one of you, and that can be the same thing with me. Would you feel offended? My team's 17 games over 500. They have the best record in the league, okay? And they have one of the best records in all of baseball. In fact, there would be only 2 teams that have more wins than me if my team that was 17 games over 500 was talking to you right now. Would you be offended if somebody from an outside market said to you, there's nobody that good in the league? Yes, you would. That's Tampa. That's the Tampa Rays.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair.
Okay. So you've got Tampa, who's really good, 53 knockouts. Only the Dodgers and Brewers have more. Anybody else? Seattle, 2 games over 500. Barely breathing. All right. They got a half-game lead on a Texas team that you just saw beating a series and didn't think anything of it. Right? Okay. That's why there is no definitive, it's over. You ain't coming back from this. There's no definitive, you know what? ship them all out. I would get rid of Skubal and Mize. I'd get rid of Torres and Flaherty. I'd get rid of Verlander and this guy. That's what Drew Anderson say goodbye. You can't say that. The reason you can't say it is because of what the other teams in the league are. Not for what you are, but what the other teams in the league are or aren't. Don't feed me this line that you think Chicago, the White Sox, are a threat. Credit to them. Phenomenal turnaround, all right? And a plus 19 in the run differential. Best in the division. There's only 2 teams in the division with a plus run scoring differential. It's Chicago and Detroit. All right? Don't give me this crap that the Yankees are uncatchable. The Rangers are uncatchable in the wild card is what I'm referring to. The teams like Houston scare you at 2 games under 500. The Toronto and their payroll is too much to overcome. They're 6 games under 500. Stop. I'm not trying to convince you that the Tigers are World Series worthy, that they're the best team in the league, that they should be taken as a threat or anything else like that. I'm just telling you, everyone else in the American League outside the Tampa Rays are any good. You are in a huge pile of what some may say is American League crap. But you're in it.
Yeah, you can't deny where they're at in the standings.
You can't deny that. I'm not boastful saying bring on the comparisons to 2006. Compare this team to 2013 and 14 and 1984. No. All we're doing is comparing him to everybody else in the American League right now. And it's hard to deny it.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, again, the 40-game, 50-game thing that we've talked about many times about judging this team and who they really are. At the end of the day, you and I and a lot of other people thought they'd be a team that would win the division coming into this season. And because the standings are where they are right now, and they've been playing a lot better, it's not like it's impossible that they could, keep up at a relatively, 500 or a little bit above pace. And with the way the AL is this year, that could be good enough to get in.
But I've been wrong about this team. I've been wrong about this team the last 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean,
okay. But that's because I have higher expectations than most.
Right.
Okay. Yes, we've seen strange things happen in Major League Baseball the last 3 years. We've seen this team come from behind when everybody counted them out.
The Tigers, this is one of the strangest examples.
We've seen this. Yes, we've seen this team blow a lead when nobody thought it could be done. And now we're seeing them play better ball and us get all hyped because we're 9 games under 500. The stat of the day, 9 games under 500. It bothers me. It sickens me. But I do understand it. I understand it because the rest of the American League, I mean, is it parity, Andy? Would you say it's parity when this many teams are hovering in that space?
It just feels like it's not very strong. More than
yeah. When there's that many, look, if you had a team like in the National League, the Dodgers running away with it, 60 wins, first team to 60 wins, you'd be rolling your eyes and saying, "Oh my God, no one's going to catch him." In the American League, there's all these teams that feel like they have hope. It's not an attractive look, but they feel like they have hope.
No, and trying to predict where this team's going to go is just one of the hardest things to do. It's like, if you're a weather person in the state of Michigan and everybody says, "Oh, the weather person always gets it wrong," but then you turn around and say the state changes the weather constantly, right? And you're always like, it's one of the hardest states to predict weather in. With this team, you could go back 2 years ago to when they were the hottest team to make it to end the year. Then they were the hottest team to start, but below what anybody thought any baseball team could do to blow a lead. And now this year, it's like they're 6-22 in 1 month, and they're the best team in the. It's just so hard to predict what they're going to keep doing the rest of the season, and that's what makes them so hard. Like more than most teams, you never like to jump to conclusion on any team you're talking about. They're like the hardest team to do that with. I feel like in my recent memory.
Yeah, I think they're the hardest team to do that because they're our team. I'm sure people in New York are saying that about the Yankees.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But they've been
'Cause
consistently good.
At one point, they had the best record in baseball.
Yeah,
Okay.
this year.
Right. And well, yeah. And you're trying to figure out how can that team be so good during the regular season and then crap the bed in the postseason.
Yeah. Yep.
But to your point, yes. I mean,
this is a large sample size of like very long and win streaks and lose streaks and like how they just it's crazy how it's been since 2024 with their records.
Since 2024. Yeah, I got it. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Like I'm just going back so far. I can't think of any team that I like. I feel like you'd hear about it more if there was a team that was, the best of 70 games and then completely crap the bed the other 80 games. Or in 2024 with the way that the Tigers for the last 50 games of the season were like unbelievable with their record, but before that weren't even a team that anybody was thinking about making the playoffs. Like it just feels like they've went from so far down to so far up, back to so far down. It's just like it constantly changes, and I think that's what frustrates fans more than anything else. And maybe that's like the people that are still being negative about them. That's probably why. And I get it 100% in that aspect too.
Sure. Just this year, I mean, this was a team that was 16 games under 500.
Yeah, 16 games
okay.
under.
The only thing I would remind you is, there was a time where the Yankees spent 54 days in first place. And now they're 4 games back. Okay. So they have had plenty of losing streaks. They were on a 7-game slide, and they've had a winning streak of 8 games. I think that's baseball. Okay. And that's a team that's blown 19 leads, I might add. All right. Most, I think it's among the most in all of baseball. So I think we are not that we're hyperbolic by any stretch, but I think it's because we're living it every day. We think that. I think there are other teams in Major League Baseball right now that probably feel something very similar, that we're going on some type of roll and suddenly we hit a skid and we can't stomach the ability to watch the team every single night. But I want you to think about this for a minute. When you see all these teams that are part of this, I don't know what statistic, what number you want to associate yourself with. I respect that, to each his own. As you know, I'm a big believer in point differential, goal differential, run differential. The Houston Astros, Andy, who are 2 games under 500, have a better record than the Tigers and are in front of the Tigers in a wild card chase, are a minus 42 in run differential.
It doesn't even seem like they should be that close to 500.
It doesn't even seem like they should be that close to a wild. They are 1.5 back of the final wild card.
Yeah, I mean that's abnormal anyway to be under 500 and be that close. It feels like. But
so here's what I would ask you: if you're in a front office and you see your team trending the right way, and you have 5 games left before the All-Star break, all of them at home, 2 against the A's and 3 against the Phillies. Zach Wheeler struck out 14 last night, by the way. He struck out every single player in the Cincinnati Reds lineup at least once. 14 punch-outs. Dominating performance. Kyle Schwarber went yard again. Anyway, I digress. If you were to win both series, and one would guess they would, you should beat Oakland. They've had some injury struggles. So what? Detroit has had injury struggles. You don't want to hear it? I don't blame you. Phillies are pretty good, although they have a minus in run scoring differential and they're 10 games over 500, which is crazy. But if you win the series, you're at the All-Star break. I don't know if Scott Harris goes to Philadelphia and enjoys watching his 3 All-Stars or what. Don't you think you're in a bit of a quandary here? You have less than a month before the trade deadline. Your team is nipping on the proverbial heels of a wild card spot. You're trying to make sure your team does do everything it can to make the playoffs, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Especially with your starting rotation. But 2 members of your starting rotation are the most attractive trading pieces. What do you do? We act like, and it's not like I'm this huge Scott Harris fan. We act like it's simple. This is what you have to, and it's, folks, it's not August 3rd. Please try not to look at just August 3rd. At some point, every general manager, every person in charge has to look at the situation and dissect the fact that you can't go to the trade deadline. That's the deadline, sure, but you're planning and preparing for something way before the trade deadline. You have to have a date in mind, a number in mind, and then I'll be damned. If you don't trade either one of those guys, you better make damn sure that you make the playoffs, because your ass is going to get fired after this year.
Yeah, they go that kind of route. They better make it.
Yeah. Just something to think about as you move forward. Okay. Are there needs? Without question. Every team has needs. Speaking of needs, I saw ESPN come out with their, remember we gave you the top running backs yesterday. Bijan Robinson was 1. Jahmyr Gibbs 2. All right. Highest he was rated was 1. Lowest he was rated was 8, which to me made absolutely no sense. But it made no sense that Christian McCaffrey, lowest his rating was unranked. Makes no sense whatsoever in the top 10. ESPN is doing this based on position every single day. So they had the running backs yesterday. The cornerbacks came out today. Well, yesterday, but for our show for today. Edge rushers are next. There's obviously no Lion in here. Patrick Surtain is 1. Derek Stingley Jr. is 2. Christian Gonzalez out of New England and formerly of Oregon, number 3. Devin Witherspoon, the former Fighting Illini in Seattle, at number 4. And Trent McDuffie of the Rams with a picture of the Kansas City uniform at 5. Quinyon Mitchell, 6. 7 is Denzel Ward for the Cleveland Browns, which a lot of people feel, oh, Brad Holmes should go and trade for, because the Browns just seem to want to get rid of good players. J.C. Horn at 8, Sauce Gardner at 9, the Detroit native, and Cooper DeJean at 10. There is nobody on the Lions who received an honorable mention, and nobody on the Lions who even received a vote. Here's the reason I bring this up. Has this become more of a need than any other position in this town? Tigers would be what? High leverage reliever and right-handed power bat. Pistons would be a three-point shooter and a secondary ball handler. Red Wings would be a top 6 forward. Lions would be what? You were waiting for the edge rusher. You hope you got that in the draft. What do you have now? The secondary. If anyone talks about the weakness of the Lions, where do they go? The secondary. Has that become the biggest need of any team in this town? Phone number on the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21000. This is X's and Bros, brought to you by Meyer.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Huge here for the Purple community of Van Andel Institute. They're honored to be a part of the Make Ways for a Great Cause at the Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. Grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise awareness and critical funds for community health programs at Hackley Community Care and Breast Cancer Research at Van Andel Institute. Paddleboarders of all experience levels are welcome. The vibrant event will also include yoga, music, family-friendly entertainment, and screenings for breast cancer. Learn more about Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore and register at suftc.org.
just feel like we, keep playing hard, keep playing the game the right way, and our pitching has been unbelievable as well, and the bats are starting to get hot, and I think a lot of good is coming right now, and we're going to keep, trying to stay consistent and keep that going each and every day.
You can see and hear the confidence with this team. Kevin McGonigal following the game, and a strong performance from him, 2 for 4 and on base 3 times. We had mentioned earlier in the show, in our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question, is Dan Campbell a top 5 NFL head coach? Yes or no? Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. As we begin this third hour here on X's and Bros, I'm Matt Shepard, Andy McDonald alongside. We're brought to you this hour by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. I had mentioned earlier that Shohei Ohtani, in a Dodgers loss last night, hit his 300th career home run. He is the 5th fastest to 300 homers in terms of fewest games. So 5th fewest games needed to reach 300 homers. Best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel
Who
like
are the four ahead of him?
Fastest? Maybe Barry Bonds.
You know one of them.
Mike Trout. Miguel Cabrera.
Aaron Judge.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Aaron Judge took 953 games. Shohei Ohtani, 1,101 games. Okay. Aaron Judge, fastest. Ralph Kiner, number 2. Ryan Howard, number 3.
Okay, yeah. Always forget about him.
Yeah. And you ready for the last one? Juan Gonzalez.
Yeah, wouldn't have been my guess.
Steroids. Anyway,
Right.
So there you go, the 5th fewest. That's what it's all about. And in case you missed it yesterday as well, the Pistons with a move, trading Karis LeVert, a couple of second-round picks to Milwaukee for Taurean Prince and Gary Harris. Somebody had tweeted out, look at what they've done. The Pistons have addressed their three-point shooting. Isaiah Joe, 42%. John Collins, 40.5%. Prince, 45.5%. And Gary Harris, 41%. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's fine if you want to look at the percentages. That's cool. It's a fair number. But here's what they are, too. Harris makes 1.4 per game in his career. Prince, 1.7 in his career. Collins, 1.1. Joe, 2.0, which is fine. However, it's not the three-point threat you think they are. Malik Beasley made over 2.5 per game. Tim Hardaway Jr. made 2.3 per game. That's kind of what you were looking for. Now, maybe these guys with more minutes, specifically Isaiah Joe, maybe with more minutes they get that opportunity and they will drain more than 1.7 or 2.0. Let's hope that's the case. Still think something bigger is coming. Novak Djokovic makes the semifinals at Wimbledon. He'll play Jannik Sinner next. It's his 55th major semifinal. Is he the best men's tennis player of all time? Yes or no? Without getting too hyperbolic, okay? Because I know this happens. What do you think?
It's hard to argue.
Are you a tennis guy?
I'm not a huge tennis guy, but I definitely. Yeah. I mean, there's with those sports, it feels like there's a few dominant players, right? And you always hear about them. I mean, that's one that I've heard about all the time. That's for sure. So I feel like he's got to be one of the best, if not the best.
To be 39 and do what he's done.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's a guy who he was number 1 for an ATP record 428 weeks. To finish a year ranked number 1 8 times in your career. 13 different seasons. I'm sorry, which is a record. To have won so many singles titles, 101 on the ATP Tour level. 24 majors, 10 Australian Opens, 40 Masters, an Olympic gold medal, the only man in tennis history to be the reigning champ in all 4 majors at once across 3 different surfaces. The only man to achieve a Triple Crown Grand Slam. First player to complete a career Golden Masters and do it twice. I don't know, man. I find it hard to believe anybody's better. Roger Federer was incredible. Rafael Nadal was unreal.
And those are the 2 names that you hear. If there's any other name, I feel like, and it's hard to. I don't think you can compare to the statistics you just listed off.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Andy, I'm not a tennis guy either. I know when you're 1,177 wins and you have 237 losses as a singles player, that you have to be considered among the greatest of all time. I think he already was. What he's been able to do at Wimbledon this year, I mean, he beat a really good player yesterday. He is beating guys who are not half his age, but guys who are a hell of a lot younger. I don't know how he does it. It's a really good debate, because back in the day, whatever, you wanted to say Rod Laver, you wanted to say Boris Becker, John McEnroe, Bjorn Borg, Jimmy Connors, Pete Sampras, right? But these guys are at a different level. They just seem to be at a different level. And it's really hard to debate, I suppose, at least the top 4. I mean, even back in the day, Andre Agassi. When I was a kid, Ivan Lendl was incredible. So I think if you looked at Nadal and Federer, I would say Djokovic, Federer, Nadal is how I would look at it. And I still think Pete Sampras was a hell of a player. Okay. He's an American, so it is. When he retired, he was considered the greatest of all time. He played 15 years. He won 14 Grand Slams. Okay. But he never won the French Open. So I think the other guys, because of what they've done overall in their careers, and then you ask yourself, is anybody on the horizon close? Like, could you see the next great in women's tennis, Venus Williams, Steffi Graf, Martina Navratilova? There are people who are starting to see certain players who could be in that conversation. I don't know if we see that on the men's side. Anyway, good for him. I don't know if it ends with Jannik Sinner in the semifinals, but he turned the clock back, that's for sure. 3 tie breaks, 5 hours and 15 minutes. That'll make you sweat, and that'll make you sleep really well. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Is Dan Campbell a top 5 NFL coach? Yes or no? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. I've retweeted it out. We'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour. That's an interest tomorrow. That's an interesting debate right now, because I saw Pro Football Focus, which you take with a grain of salt, considering yesterday we were sick to our stomach that Jared Goff is ranked 16th among quarterbacks. There are 32 quarterbacks. He's in the middle of the pack, and Pro Football Focus had him as the number 16. Stupid. Anyway, Pro Football Focus did the same thing with head coaches. Andy, I would ask you this. Who's the best head coach in the National Football League?
Sean McVay. Is that what they give? Is that what they listed as?
I would have said Andy Reid is the best coach.
I like Andy Reid.
Sean McVay.
I like Andy Reid too.
They have Sean McVay. Then they have Andy Reid. Give me another guy who's better than Dan Campbell.
I almost said Ben Johnson to be funny, but I'm trying to think of someone that I actually would put over him. Kevin O'Connell has maybe an argument, but he just hasn't had the playoff success, I guess, yet. That
they have Kyle Shanahan at 3.
I can see that. Yep. Consistently good.
Okay.
Their system's really good.
I agree with that.
If it wasn't for the whole Diana Rossini thing, maybe Mike Vrabel would be up there more, but that might
that's a possibility.
Every time I bring him up, I feel like I can't say his name without that.
You know what? I feel the same way. I see him sitting in a producer's chair or director's chair with Diana Rossini, and she touching his knee. We'll give you another guy who they have ahead of Dan Campbell when we come back. We're brought to you this hour by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the Den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers' possible trade deadline moves revolve around Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize, both expected to be in high demand. Those moves could be couched, though, because of the young arms like Melton and Montero. Just don't forget about Jackson Jobe. He was the number one pitching prospect going into 2025, but injured his throwing shoulder in mid-June and needed Tommy John surgery. Jobe made his first rehab start in Lakeland Tuesday night, throwing 1 1/3 innings, 32 pitches, 24 for strikes, and 2 fastballs over 100 miles per hour. How important can the soon-to-be 24-year-old be? Well, the Tigers went 9-1 in his 10 starts last year. He might have the best stuff in the rotation and is a legitimate top-end dealer. Throw him in with the aforementioned Framber Valdez, and it's a totally legit 4-man rotation.
Huge here for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings across Michigan. You can watch the end of the World Cup at all Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan. Yes, the U.S. has been bounced, but the best teams in the world remain. And you can watch all the games on all the TVs at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Every single World Cup game that's left, you can watch it at your local Buffalo Wild Wings.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
saw a tweet from a Detroit Red Wings hockey beat writer and said, for those of you telling me Dylan Larkin isn't a 1 seed, please give me the others who are ahead of him. Please name 32 centers ahead of him. That's where he plays for the Red Wings. That's what was tweeted out. My immediate thought was, okay, I don't know if I can name 32. Is that the goal? What if you're the worst center, worst top center in the league, or worst top line center in the league? Should that matter?
No, I don't think he's down to 32
like if
either,
you start naming them, if you go Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Macklin Celebrini, Mark Scheifele, Nick Suzuki, Leon Draisaitl, Jack Eichel, Jake Gensel, there's 8. Wyatt Johnston, there's 9. I don't know if would you put Tage Thompson ahead of him? That could be 10. I think it's more like, it's not that he's not a 1 center. It's more like he's, probably a bottom half top line center. Jack Hughes hasn't had the long history. He had a better year. Connor Bedard, would you take him? Sidney Crosby. I don't care how old he is. Look at what he's doing on a regular basis. Ryan O'Reilly had more points than Dylan Larkin did. John Tavares did too, I believe. So it's not that, oh my gosh, he's not a top line center. It's that is he a top line center on a playoff team?
Well,
how's that?
Don't know the answer to that second part of it anyway. So,
well,
he hasn't made the playoffs.
because he hasn't made the playoffs, right? Except for his rookie year, and he wasn't the top line center there. So that's the issue, and I think I personally believe it might be best to stop tweeting and writing about him, because Helena St. James wrote this on Twitter. In 2+ months since requesting the trade from the Red Wings, Dylan Larkin has not expanded his list. He has a no trade clause. He has not expanded his list from Florida, Minnesota, and Vegas. No offers from those teams have intrigued the Red Wings. They want value now players for a 1 center with very favorable contract. There's a lot of people who think he's a second line center. I get. Here's what he's viewed as, and I don't think this is who he is. He's viewed as a quitter. He's viewed as selfish. He's viewed as a guy who wants out. Now, I would remind you, the same fans have said, I'm out on my teams too in the past. Lions. How many talk show hosts have told you, don't buy tickets to go see your favorite team play? Is that not quitting? The players aren't supposed to quit, period. All right? The leaders aren't supposed to quit, period. I understand his frustration because you and I share it. It doesn't mean you quit on your team. But I don't think that's who he is. Unfortunately, that's what it's become.
Yeah,
it's going to be. I said this before. This is going to be a very. When do they go to camp? September.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer.
You've got 2.5 months, Andy, to get this done. 2.5 months. It's very uncomfortable for a lot of people right now. You're going to have to take the C off his chest. He can't be the center of this hockey team. He can't. All right? He's going to be introduced at the home opener at Little Caesars Arena. He's going to be booed.
I almost guarantee it.
You can't not introduce the entire team.
No, you can't. No.
That's a standards practice among all sports, not just the National Hockey League. He's going to get they're going to have to crank up the fireworks, crank up the music. People are going to boo his ass for a long time. They may boo him every time he touches the puck. Seriously. This is the situation. He's not the only one. You blame Steve Yzerman if you want, but he's not the one who put himself in this situation. Dylan Larkin's the one who asked it for it. He's the one who demanded the trade. Now, he could be frustrated with Yzerman just like you and I are. He can see that this team's going nowhere. What alternative do I have? Say that about a lot of players in a lot of different sports. Mike Trout hasn't done that. Connor McDavid hasn't done that. And they got to be frustrated Connor McDavid's played in a couple of finals, but they've got to be frustrated that they're not getting over the proverbial hump, right?
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
Sure. Well, the other thing I was kind of wondering too about this whole thing is like, is there a scenario? Okay, he comes back to Detroit, and what if Steve adds around him if he knows he's not going to be able to trade him, and they made their team better? Is there any world where people are thinking like, well, Larkin requesting that trade like forced his hand to make this team better right now? I don't know.
Has he done that?
They haven't. That's the thing. But there's still a lot of time in the offseason. But yeah,
at some point, you and I are going to stop saying that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay.
I agree. And I'm not giving him anything because Steve hasn't. We've played this game plenty of off seasons in the past where you keep waiting for something to happen and it doesn't. But if it did, I just wonder how people would react to it if they, if maybe they're like, wow, he forced his hand because.
Well, here's the other part, Andy, that I think a lot of people have missed. Is it preventing the Red Wings, instead of worrying about the Larkin situation, go out and do something about it? Maybe they're not doing something about it because they're waiting for a trade piece for Larkin.
Yep, I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Has it stalled their push to get better in the offseason?
And with some of the value,
or has it delayed it just enough? Whereas once you trade Larkin, then you get better. Why can't you get better before you've traded Larkin?
That's been the question for a lot of off seasons.
Yeah. Well, without the Larkin trade.
Louis. Yes. Yeah. That's the thing.
There's never been the biggest question in the past was how are you going to get top six forward and are you going to re-sign Patrick Kane for crying out loud?
Yeah.
And now it's, can you get better before you trade Dylan Larkin? And if so, why haven't you done it? And if not, what do you expect in return? Watching on the stream, and we thank you for that. Let's see here. Sully Prince says, thoughts on this Tigers pitching plan for next year? Trade Skubal ideally for a real everyday third baseman and prospects. The starting rotation is then Mize, Job, Melton, Framber, and Flaherty. No, Flaherty's going to be gone.
Yeah, Flaherty will not be here.
He'll be gone. Mize will be an interesting. Here's what it'll be: Job, it'll be Melton, it'll be Framber, Valdez, and as I said in the Den segment that you heard moments ago, it will be Cater Montero. There's your four. If you had Mize and you've got five, you're in really good shape. Job had his first rehab assignment. He had arm surgery, Tommy John surgery, a year ago, mid-June. It was supposed to be between 12 and 18 months in the recovery. So he's right on par with what they expected, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule. And he threw 1 1/3 innings, threw 32 pitches, 24 of them for strikes. He threw a couple of pitches over 100 miles an hour. It's exciting. I don't know if he's coming back this year. I'd be really surprised at that, but maybe he does. He's got wicked stuff. He's a top end guy. I think he's an ace pitcher. He's got ace stuff. Let's put it that way. Him and Melton, then Valdez, and then Montero. You throw in Mize if you re-sign Mize. So that's the problem, Sully Prince, is that Mize is a free agent after this year. No longer in control. So that's a hard thing. You would have to re-sign him.
Yeah, that's
and no Jack Flaherty.
The text that I have over here that we were going to get to too is also about Skubal. It said from unnamed, still think we need to cash Skubal for a reliever and a right-handed bat for depth. Skubal is good, but so is the rest of our starters. Skubal's value is higher than ever. Cash while you can. We're not going to pay him anyways. That's the.
I agree with the latter. I don't know if his value is higher than ever. That's a great debate. I would have said probably last year.
Yeah, it would have been higher
at the end of last year because he's coming up back-to-back Cy Youngs. This year, with the surgery and with the limited pitch count, some people might see that as a bit of a red flag. I don't, but I mean, some people might.
His swing and miss is clearly still there. I mean, that's
without a doubt. I mean, but who are you getting? Like I want the right-handed power bat. Somebody who brought up, would you trade him to the Yankees for Ben Rice? Of course. Ben Rice is 26 bombs, 60 RBIs. But he's a left-handed stick, and he's a first baseman. You need right-handed power. It's not easy. You got to have names. We're back after this.
in the Den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers' possible trade deadline moves revolve around Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize, both expected to be in high demand. Those moves could be couched, though, because of the young arms like Melton and Montero. Just don't forget about Jackson Jobe. He was the number one pitching prospect going into 2025, but injured his throwing shoulder in mid-June and needed Tommy John surgery. Jobe made his first rehab start in Lakeland Tuesday night, throwing 1 1/3 innings, 32 pitches, 24 for strikes, and 2 fastballs over 100 miles per hour. How important can the soon-to-be 24-year-old be? Well, the Tigers went 9-1 in his 10 starts last year. He might have the best stuff in the rotation and is a legitimate top-end dealer. Throw him in with the aforementioned and Framber Valdez, and it's a totally legit 4-man rotation.
Huge here for the Purple community of Van Andel Institute. They're honored to be a part of the Make Ways for a Great Cause at the Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. Grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise awareness and critical funds for community health programs at Hackley Community Care and Breast Cancer Research at Van Andel Institute. Paddleboarders of all experience levels are welcome. The vibrant event will also include yoga, music, family-friendly entertainment, and screenings for breast cancer. Learn more about Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore and register at suftc.org.
think a lot of Detroit sports fans are just, in their words, tired of Detroit general managers playing it safe. Sometimes you have to be a little careful with that mindset. If you want every general manager to go for it and they go for it and they don't get it done, then how do you feel? I'm not saying you should be careful or anything like that. It's not as easy as you think. Look, I've said this before. I would like our teams to do more. I'm not a big believer in holding on to draft picks other than the NFL, first, second. I'll move up. I'll get an impact player. I'll take somebody. Do you want to do what the Rams did? I think a lot of people would say, yeah, give me Trent McDuffie.
The results they've had, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but what do you mean the results they've had? They've had one Super Bowl, and it's better than we've got.
Yeah,
we haven't played in them, right? So I don't want to come off like
I'd take the one, and I'd take the playoff success they've had after that, probably.
Philadelphia went for it, traded for Jalen Phillips. How did that work out?
It doesn't always work. I mean, that's important to remember.
But that's the key. It doesn't always work out, and you can't predict the future. But if it doesn't work out, you and I just go, oh, damn it, didn't work out. All right, there's next year. That's not the case for general managers. When it doesn't work out, it's either their job or then they put themselves in a position where next year you and I are going to be criticizing them because they haven't done enough for this year. I'm not saying that's the case for general managers in Detroit. I'm just.
It's the fact that they've probably never taken the swing. I don't know. There's just like certain. It feels like none of these guys have taken the big swing yet. I guess the one you could probably say has taken the biggest swings would be Scott Harris, just because they signed Framber Valdez, who was worth a good amount of money, and that hasn't been great so far. But I'm just trying to think of who else they've signed that's been like a big swing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, of the current general managers, yeah, you would say probably Scott Harris. I've been trading for DeBrincat. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, I guess.
Because he was pretty established. Framber Valdez, yeah, but what people wanted was him to quote unquote go for it last year.
Yep.
And look at the acquisition that they made. Do we have any more text on you?
I don't have any over here, no.
Okay. Shep, have Cater Montero convert to a full-time closer. We need him in the bullpen more than we need him starting. I think they're going to need him starting. I think they need him more as a starting pitcher than they do as a closer. You can transition guys from starters to closers easier. I think Will Vest, he's hurt right now. He's in Dallas, but he's a guy who would be fine as a closer. I just don't like the way they've used him. You can pick guys up and you can trade for them near the trade deadline and things of that nature. Yankees did with David Bednar last year. All right. The Tigers have done that too with certain players. I would rather see Cater Montero as a starter myself. I always thought, and I'm not saying these guys are Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax or Tom Seaver or Randy Johnson or Steve Carlton or anybody like that, but you're going to need a lot of starting pitching. And I don't think you got enough of that in the minor leagues right now. So I'm going to prefer Cater Montero stay as a starter. All right. Dan Campbell, we were talking just about before the break. Pro Football Focus. Do you think he's a top 5 coach in the National Football League? Pro Football Focus has Sean McVay 1, Andy Reid 2, Kyle Shanahan 3, Mike McDonald 4. Okay. He's only been at the helm for 2 years. But the Seahawks won the Super Bowl and were the second best squad overall, according to Pro Football Focus, with their grades handed out. And he's the guy on charge. Number 5, they have as Dan Campbell. Here's what Pro Football Focus writes. Unlike his esteemed peers, Campbell may not operate best as a play caller, but his high-end decision-making and culture cultivation are some of the foremost in the NFL. So his high-end decision-making is oftentimes, the fourth down calls that a lot of Lions fans were pissed off about a year ago. In 2021, Campbell inherited a Lions franchise that made 3 playoff appearances in 21 seasons. He wasn't fazed. After 2 slow years, he compiled a 27-7 record from 2023 till last year, including a trip to the NFC Championship game. Even though last year was a disappointment, Campbell's bunch still went 9-8 with the third best overall Pro Football Focus mark. Behind some bold picks from general manager Brad Holmes, the Lions have fostered one of football's best young cores with Penei Sewell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Aiden Hutchinson. Campbell has paired that talent with a league-leading EPA per play and 59 conversions on fourth down over the last 3 campaigns. All right. They have Matt LaFleur at 6, D'Amico Ryans at 7, D'Amico Ryans of the Houston Texans, Sean Payton of the Broncos at 8, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini at 9, and Jim Harbaugh
Throw
at
it
10.
in there. Yeah.
All right. So that's your top 10. Do you disagree with any of those?
I mean, I'm sure there's some like fringe people on it. Who's just outside the top 10, or
they don't go
list
outside.
it? Okay, because I'd love to know like who's like, you know, right there instead of Jim Harbaugh maybe, or you could probably make some debate, but I think most of the guys in the top like 7 should definitely be in there somewhere.
Okay. Let's put it this way. Who's the guy who's omitted from that top 10 who could be at least in the conversation? Is there one guy who could be in that conversation, who should be in that conversation, and isn't?
I'm trying to get the list up right now for the coaches myself.
Well, I would say John Harbaugh.
And that makes a lot of sense. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. That's just, I'm not saying he is a top 10 guy, but if you're going to start talking about guys who, you know, maybe got dissed, if you will, it's not Jeff Hafley of Miami. You know, it's not Todd Monken. We talked about him, or Clint Kubiak or something like that. It sure as hell isn't Aaron Glenn. And I think it might be a little early on Ben Johnson, even though some people might think that. I'm sure
some people think that.
Yeah. I would say John Harbaugh. And then if you want to pass, what about Nick Sirianni?
He deserves, I mean, just because of the success they've had. That's when you can make the argument to be in there for sure.
Yeah, I read a USA Today article that had him ranked 20th. Like he's behind Todd Bowles of Tampa and Kevin O'Connell and Robert Saleh. That's where they had him. They had him behind Zach Taylor and Dan Quinn. It's crazy. Of course, they also had Dan Campbell at 12. But they did have John Harbaugh ahead of Dan Campbell. And the surprise on that USA Today, you know, the Matt LaFleur love, man, the Green Bay love is incredible. It really is. It's incredible how much people love it. But they, in that USA Today article, they did have Ben Johnson 5th.
There's no Kevin O'Connell in that list, right?
Not in the top 10.
I feel like a lot of people make the argument for him, whether it's deserved or not. I don't know. Maybe he gets more credit than he deserves. But I feel like a lot of people talk about him as like being one of the best coaches in the NFL. So it's kind of surprising to me to not see him in there.
Yeah. Look, the smart ass in me would say if he's the best coach in the NFL, what's he done?
Exactly. Yeah. But then I mean, obviously, yeah, coaches have a say in what their roster is and everything. I guess I feel like what was the last, I'm trying to think of the last quarterback they had that like actually was.
Well, Sam Darnold led them to 14 wins.
Yeah, that's true. And they did let that go. Yep. And then Kirk Cousins was good for a while. So
for sure. What did he do with J.J. McCarthy? I mean, if he's the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, that was the reputation, right?
That was the reputation. Absolutely. Anyway, I found that interesting, and I wanted to share that with you. Shep, great question on the biggest position needed. This team 2 seasons ago was hungry, drafting great players without huge contracts. Now you have big contracts and no back 7 other than Jack Campbell in the passing league. Yeah, if they're healthy, you got, remember, going into 2025, Detroit's safety position was considered the best in the National Football League. Now that's a big if, right? Brian Schottenheimer is the next great coach in the making over the next 2 to 3 years. I have them in the Super Bowl mix this year. That's the Dallas Cowboys. Wow. Brian Schottenheimer. I know somebody who played for Brian Schottenheimer, and they did not like Brian Schottenheimer at all. They didn't think he was very good at all. I don't know if that's the case or not, but he's got a talented wide receiver duo. All right, he's got plenty of talent, so he should do something with it. I don't think there's any question. They've addressed a lot of defensive needs. They were 7-9-1 a year ago, and probably underachieved.
Yeah, 100%. They definitely underachieved.
Shep, a rumor was that Harris asked for Ben Rice from the Yankees and 7 of their top prospects for Tarek. Hard to deal with. Is there any chance they could get Rice for Tarek now if they threw in Colt Keith? Are you kidding me?
Throw in
trade Tarek
Keith,
Tarek Skubal, and Colt Keith for Ben Rice?
That's crazy.
I would think.
No thanks.
I don't think so. Tarek Skubal going to New York should bring you back an equivalent to Colt Keith on the right side and Ben Rice, and then some.
This goes back to the conversation. I understand that people don't want to get nothing for him. All right, it makes sense. They're not going to pay him. You want to get something for him, but again, you can't just trade for anything. You can't that kind of trade right there, or even offering that. That sounds like to me like we got to make a move, kind of thing. Because I don't know why you would get why would you ever put anybody in with Tarek Skubal on this trade, really? Unless it was I don't know what the haul would have to be, but
yeah, agreed. I like Ben Rice. I've said this for a while.
No, for sure.
Look, he's got 26 bombs this year. That matches his career high. That matched what he did all of last year.
You get him back with another like a bullpen arm or something for Tarek Skubal without throwing in Colt Keith, then maybe we're talking about something.
Right on. Right on. I mean, Ben Rice, a 2.3 WAR player. He's an all-star. Yeah, he's a legitimate all-star, no question. Last year, good sample size for sure. 138 games, hit 26 bombs. Right. Drove in 65. Riley Green does that, and you think he's a bust. And I'm not saying this texter feels that way, but Riley Green has 26 homers and 65 RBIs. You want him gone. He had 36, led the team in homers and led the team in RBIs last year, and people are like, he's not that good. Ben Rice does it for the Yankees in a smaller ballpark, and everyone's like, oh, my God, I got to have him. This is what I mean when it comes to seeing your guys every day and not seeing the other team every day. And Riley Green's a really good example of it.
Yeah, if you're seeing what Riley Green's been doing every day, you should understand he's a pretty good player.
Well, I would hope so.
I would think. I don't know how you could have. But.
Well, 36 and 111. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think he's that good. He's not a clutch guy or anything like that. I want the guy who has 26 homers and 60 RBIs, but he only strikes out 100 times. Oh, okay, cool. Ben Rice had 26 homers, 65 runs batted in last year and struck out 100 times. This year he struck out 86 times. He's on pace to set a career high in strikeouts, okay? If I asked you right now, who's got more strikeouts this year, Riley Green or Ben Rice?
It'd be probably pretty close, but
it's pretty close. I mean, Riley Green's got 102.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. Ben Rice has 26 bombs, and he's got 60 RBIs. Riley Green doesn't. He's got 13 and 44, respectively, in case you were wondering. But his numbers last year and the year before, pretty damn good.
I mean, Riley Green.
Even the year before, he had 24 and 74. And the reason I bring those numbers up, Andy, is because that's what you expect from him. You need run production from him, and he's providing it. I like Ben Rice. I would take him at first base, no question. I'm looking for right-handed power. You have some left-handed power. I mean, Dingler gives you some right-handed power, obviously. Torkelson, to a certain extent, and he has. I mean, 31 homers in 2 of the last 3 years. But I think you need more than that. And let's face it, it's not a position of need right now at first base. You need a third baseman, right? Unless you're going to wait for Bryce Rayner, unless you're going to wait for, certain other players. Okay, Max Anderson, for example. Let's do the final results of the poll question from yesterday and the Daily Wager, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We asked you this Mitch Lineswell poll question yesterday. What's more disrespectful to the Lions? Campbell ranked as the 5th best head coach, Gibbs the 2nd best running back, Goff the 16th quarterback, or the team has the 4th best roster in the NFC? What did folks say?
This is something to me that should have been this way. I didn't know if it would be just because of how some people talk about Jared Goff, but he led it at 81% with being 16th at quarterback, which that's how it to me that is the obvious focus. To me that is the obvious disrespectful ranking in that department. But
100%. And thanks for participating. We got another Mitch Lineswell poll question right now. Is Dan Campbell a top 5 NFL coach? Yes or no? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. How about the Daily Wager, which is brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend.
Feels good to hear that noise again. We got Jacob Mizorowski. I had you take him at 8 strikeouts yesterday. He got 11. Again, he just continues on his tear. I can't believe they're still giving that number even at this point, but the books are going to play that eventually he stops probably getting that many. It's been working out, so you keep going with it. I also told you to take 9 for plus money if you want to sprinkle a little bit on that. He got there too because he got 11 yesterday. Today,
and he got the win, by the way.
Yes, they did.
Beating the Cardinals. I think they've beaten the Cardinals 7 straight times.
That's crazy.
He went 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, a couple of homers, and struck out 11, like you said. So he's got 8 games this year where he has struck out 10 or more. No one's even close.
For sure. Yep. So I'm tonight we're gonna stay with baseball. I'm going with pitching again, but a different category. I'm gonna go with George Kirby to allow over 5.5 hits. So he has to allow 6 hits in the game. Going back to his last 10 starts, he's allowed at least 6 hits or more in 9 of those 10 starts. So he's been a pitcher that his ERA is ballooned sometimes because he doesn't get out of the trouble, but he's working in and out of trouble every single start he makes. I think the trend is going to continue because you go back to the start of the season. There's only been 3 times where he's allowed under 6 hits this year. So definitely I'm going with the over 5.5. They're giving you that around the even line. So that's the bet.
He gives up almost 10 hits per 9 innings.
Yeah.
Yep. George Kirby.
And he still goes deep into games. I mean, his last however many 4 games here, he's went 6 innings or more. Not deep, but he pitches long enough.
For today's
baseball
right.
It's deep.
No one has surrendered more hits in the league than George Kirby. He's allowed. I think he's made 17 starts. He's allowed 113 hits. That's a lot.
Very surprising. But
okay.
I didn't think he'd be the guy to do that. When I saw that, I was like, that's pretty consistent. So
yeah, I think he's 7. What's his record, Andy? Is he 500? I think he's 7-7.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I'm not seeing his record here overall.
Okay. Yeah, he's 7-7. So got him at 7-7. Seattle as a team, 2 games over 500 and a half-game lead in the AL West. I want to thank Andy McDonald and thank you for your contributions in the chat as we stream live on X, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you for your texts. Sports Radio 21,000. Don't forget the huge show on the Staying Great Station affiliates later on today from 3 until 7. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, here on X's and BrO's, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
In the Den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers' possible trade deadline moves revolve around Carrick Skubal and Casey Mize, both expected to be in high demand. Those moves could be couched, though, because of the young arms like Melton and Montero. Just don't forget about Jackson Jobe. He was the number 1 pitching prospect going into 2025, but injured his throwing shoulder in mid-June and needed Tommy John surgery. Jobe made his first rehab start in Lakeland Tuesday night, throwing 1 1/3 innings, 32 pitches, 24 for strikes, and 2 fastballs over 100 miles per hour. How important can the soon-to-be 24-year-old be? Well, the Tigers went 9-1 in his 10 starts last year. He might have the best stuff in the rotation and is a legitimate top-end dealer. Throw him in with the aforementioned aforementioned and Framber Valdez, and it's a totally legit four-man rotation.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHS